Evening all. I've moved to the study here tonight because I don't want to disturb my family as they're settling down to sleep. Lighting's not so good. Picture quality is not going to be as good in here. What I really need is a good desk lamp and a standard lamp just to put in a bit of fill lighting. But anyway, this is a response video to Sargon of Akkad. He did a very good video recently on the need to parley with the tech companies. I'd like to respond on a few points that he made and add a few of my own. So currently we're at a stage with censorship on social media platforms and YouTube where increasingly they're becoming more censorious, and the targets of their censorship have been not even radicals, just people of mainstream right-wing opinions or centrists who are free speech activists and critics of feminism and the social justice movement. But we know this is where we've been. The thing is that Sargon was addressing was that we need to have discussions and dialogues with tech companies to ensure that freedoms and liberties are not encroached upon any further, that there is some kind of restorative process that if you do cross the line in terms of standards of behaviour in what you say, that there is some way that you can come back at a later time after doing a period of penance, as it were. At the moment there isn't. So you get a ban, you're banned for life. Now, I think we do need to have a dialogue, but here are the things that I think are a problem that need addressing. We need ways of thinking about how to overcome them if we're to ever have this dialogue. Now, at the moment, the way I look at it is, why should the tech companies have discussions with us? The tech companies are at the moment, they don't have to lift a finger. They have been successful so far in banning people who they consider problematic. Their rules on who they ban and for what reasons are extremely capricious, and they show no sign of changing that at the moment. They have different methods, from suspending an account, shadow banning, demonetization if it's on YouTube, all these other things, and the left get a huge free pass. I know people who have tweeted very sarcastic stuff and they get banned from Twitter. I've received lots of really abusive stuff, and I've reported it, and the most that happens is that the tweets get removed and somebody served a 12-hour suspension from Twitter, which they then proceeded to tweet out that that was an outrage that they got suspended for 12 hours. No shame with this person. Yeah, sort of, message me in private and I'll tell you who they were. Okay, but they are in the box seat when it comes to this, and I see this as a problem if we want to try and parley with them. Is that they don't have to parley with us. That's their perspective. Sargon makes some good points that you have the danger when you ban people from these platforms, you isolate them, you ostracize them from the discourse. They don't go away. Some of them on the extreme fringes become more extreme, and then they start plotting against a world and a society that has denied them their space, their community, and you can't then talk to them because you've pushed them out. They are left to foment malevolent ideas that they will later enact against innocent people, and you don't want that. And likewise, you don't want the government having to step in, particularly the US government with its First Amendment. You don't want them stepping in and regulating the whole thing and having everybody have a one arm tied behind their backs. So it would be better for them to dialogue, but you've got a lot of problems with that. For the main thing is that For people on the progressive left or the far left, they don't see everybody else in a rational way. At best, the people who, and I would describe people on the left, but who are in favour of free speech and who are critical of intersectionality, the social justice movement, and third wave feminism. There's those group of people, I'd say, on the centre left, the centre, and the mainstream right up to the libertarians. The progressive left and the far left don't see us as having any redeemable features whatsoever. At best, we are evil. At worst, we're not even human. I mean, you can have a look at the messages put out there on social media and in various magazines and publications, where the suggestion is that we're not even human. We don't need to be dealt with as human beings. We are worse than animals in a lot of cases. So you have that mentality to deal with. Now, I'm not saying tech companies view the rest in that prism, but you've got to remember that they are in personal communication with people who do think that way. And they are sympathetic. They're more sympathetic to those people than they are to us. I mean, if use as an example the lesbians in tech conference where Kara Swisher was talking to the CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojnicki, and she was complaining that her 13-year-old son was watching Ben Shapiro, and that he'll then watch Jordan Peterson, and it's only 3 clicks before you get to the Nazis. Right, it'd be interesting if you put Kara Swisher's name into YouTube search functions, how quickly you would get to a video from the extreme left. Somebody try that as an experiment. See what dark places Kara Swisher's name takes you. But Susan Woznicki made the very reasonable point about Ben Shapiro, was that, well, he doesn't violate any terms of service. She can't ban him because he doesn't do anything wrong on his channel. Kara Swisher wasn't having that, and she said, well, if I was in power, I'd ban him. You know, that's the mentality. Well, Woznicki, you know, if she... This is the thing you got to remember if you're trying to deal with them. Now, if it was one of us who was on stage with Kara Swisher, saying that, you know, oh, well, I'd ban Ben Shapiro because he's just Ben Shapiro, and he's not of my political stripe, so I'd ban him. You know, most of us would say, well, shame on you for thinking that. You know, we have dialogue, we have free speech, and you just can't use your powers capriciously. Susan Woznicki was very, you know, she was kind of, it was a mealy-mouthed response. Oh no, well, you know, and Kara Swisher was saying, you know, can't something be done about this? And Susan Woznicki was thinking, well, you know, we could do some changes of algorithms. She should have stood firm and said, no, if you're not doing anything wrong, you don't get booted, and that is that. And we need rules that apply equally to everyone, so there isn't accusations of capricious behaviour. So we've got that mentality to deal with. We need to get, if we're going to get to the stage where we can parley, we've got to actually be in the same space as them. What happens in this format here on YouTube and also at some of these live events is that you're very much playing in front of a crowd, you're playing in front of an audience, and things get quite heightened. And I'm thinking the way ahead, if you want to have a parley, you've got to be in the same room, and you've got to be in the same room, but away from an audience. And I'll tell you why, because it was a good sign that Tim Pool and Joe Rogan had that discussion with Jack Dorsey and one of his senior lawyers. Now, again, they were all conscious that they were playing to an audience. I think particularly the lawyer was very conscious of that. But what would that have been like had there been no cameras, no recording devices? It had just been a discussion that they had amongst themselves to find a way forward. Now, I know that, as I said, Tim Squirrel and Hope Not Hate have been in the same room as YouTube UK. They've been in their offices to discuss who should be banned and why. And I thought it was good that Gerard Batten wanted to have a sit down talk with YouTube to put the counter argument. This was over whether Tommy Robinson should be booted off YouTube. Now, I don't know if that meeting went ahead or how it went ahead, but I think he had the right idea. We have got to get in the same room, and we've got to do it away from the glaze of publicity, because everybody is watching and sort of cheering from the sidelines, and I think that could get ugly. And if one thing, you have to try and appeal to a more rational, calmer side of these tech companies. You have to appeal to their, if they have any sense of fairness, if they have any sense of satisfying the users and customers, if they're not completely in the thrall of far left ideology, then you don't want a kind of mob cheering them on from the sideline for more banning, and so forth. Because we've seen anybody from the left who tries to make contact with people on the right, or I would say the anti-left, to be fair, because that includes the centrists as well, gets vilified. We have seen there was an actor that met up with Ben Shapiro in private to discuss the Second Amendment, and he came away from that meeting impressed and with some ideas, food for thought. He then went and said on Twitter, I had a really good meeting with Ben Shapiro. He seems like a good guy. He got vilified just even tweeting that. And then he was forced to recant that and take that back and denounce Shapiro. So that's what you have at the moment. So we need private discussions with the tech companies first, and put a very reasonable and rational case. We shouldn't be tub thumping. We shouldn't be manic ideologues on this. We should show our best side when having these meetings. And to round up, I was thinking about the Cold War, because there were channels of communication between East and West. They would meet on various bridges, I think the Bridge of Spies, various neutral territories, places to meet, where a representative from America or the UK or NATO would meet their counterparts in the Soviet Union and discuss things, various issues regarding borders, exchange of spies, procedures, that kind of thing. And that's what we need. We need a kind of neutral space that is away from the baying mob, so we can sort this out. So that's my thoughts. I think it's very good that we parley. And I think, some of us in the anti-left movement, it's just a loose confederation. But I think, mind your P's and Q's for a little bit. Nothing wrong with still a bit of good old sarcasm and mockery, but just watch how far it goes. I think the days of the shit lord are on hold, I would say, until the coast becomes a little bit clearer. Anyway, that's food for thought. I'll put a link in the description below to Sargon's original video. And take care. Have a good one. And we'll see you probably for the next installment of The Biscuit on Monday morning. Okay, until then, bye.